and the power of J-Skull.
Welcome everyone to another episode, a bit of a revamped look for us here on Power of J Skull. And Jason, you know what? I was pretty down in the dumps about last time when we said we were going to do Cow, and I was pleasantly surprised. And then last episode, you gave me, well, the biggest surprise ever, because we get to do, as the icon says, Stratos today, which is my favourite character.
Yes,
So
I
I
know that
was,
you got a soft spot for the feathered one. Yes.
I do. In fact, when you announced it, I mean, I was in shock. I mean, this is my expression, really, when you said it. I was like, I can't believe we're doing it. So I'm thrilled we are. He is, and I can't really explain why. I just found him such a visually interesting character when I had the original figure. I like the juxtaposition of the red and the blue. Love the fact that he could fly, shoot beams out of his hands. I just gravitated towards this character a lot. So much so, Jason, that if you see below me, we have a drawing here as me as Stratos and you as the titular. Well, you're calling him Gas Man, but we'll call him Jace Man for this one.
Okay.
Check this out, Jason. We got an artist to we asked our one of our colleagues on the channel, hey, we'd love to get ourselves drawn as He-Man. Little did we know, about a couple of weeks later, we get delivered these.
They're amazing. They're beautiful.
Aren't they gorgeous? Look at
They
Jason
are.
there as the as He-Man. Looks fantastic, and he's even
And
got,
it's so close to my
it's
actual
photorealistic.
physique.
Let's be
Yes.
honest with you. Yeah, and me as well. You know, it's probably the first time I've been high, but I've actually been flying in this image.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy, isn't
different
it?
type of high for a change. But yeah, look how gorgeous they are. And I certainly, before we start the show, want to give a shout out to the person that actually did this. And if I could just bring up the image, if I could just share this image, bear with me for a sec, because she's wonderfully talented. And I think to myself, wow, I wish how I had that creative skill set. But I definitely want to give a shout out to Art of WHL Phoenix Art. This is her Instagram page, guys. Look at the diversity of her artwork. Some comic book panels there and just beautiful stuff. So she's a extremely talented, and there she is there. Very extremely talented artist. All I can say is both me and Jason are absolutely thrilled with this artwork. So
Yes, and this is the kind of talent that makes me sick and envious. So
absolutely,
good job. Good job,
good
Phoenix
job.
Arts.
So go on, if you need some drawings done of any kind, get on Instagram, look up Art of WHL Phoenix Arts, and touch base with us, because she's clearly.
That's Art of WAL. You were saying WHL. It's WAL.
That's an Australian accent.
I know.
A to H.
I know. You're looking at the letters upside down. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. But we're here to talk about, obviously, Stratos. The two episodes that you chose, Jace, this week were The Reign of the Monster and Trust. Now, can you, just before we start into this, why those two episodes?
Well, Stratos, despite being a mainstay on Masters of the Universe, both the old and the 2002 reboot, never was given the spotlight a whole lot. And so I just researched any episodes that put him front and center, and I came up with these two. One of them is Reign of the Monster from the Filmation era, and the other one is Trust from the 2002 reboot.
Mm. And honestly, I will say they were both great choices, because they do feature Stratos quite integrally in the episodes. And look, let's get started in with the Filmation episode you chose, which is Reign of the Monster.
Yes, and I imagine my shock when this comes up and I see the name Mark Scott Zachary, because I've met Mark Scott Zachary.
Really?
I met him way back in 1997.
And was that on the back of, you knew he had written He-Man episodes?
No, I actually had no idea that he wrote He-Man episodes until his name popped up here. I met Mark Scott Zachary because at the time he was on the production staff of a television show called Sliders. and which was
Love
a great
Slides.
show. It was
Great show.
unfortunately ruined, but it was a great show. And I was at Dragon Con in San Antonio, Texas, and right there one day I'm walking through the lobby of this hotel, and it said we're holding a question and answer session for the new season of Sliders. And the show had recently and very surprisingly been renewed for the Sci-Fi Channel, and I went up there. I was in the second row, and I got to talk to him and ask him questions about the show. Had no idea he'd written on He-Man, because that would have been me. Everybody'd be asking about the Timer, Quinn Mallory, and the Cro-Mags, and I'd be like, when you wrote for Stratos, did you know that he could shoot beams from his hands? How did he do that?
And I'd be in the back, I love you, man. I love you.
But he was very cool, though. He was very frank with his answers.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. And whenever I saw his name pop up here, I was just like, oh, wow, I know that guy.
Now, I don't know if it's biased or not, Jason, but I did really enjoy this episode.
It
would
was
say it's
a
the
good
greatest,
one, yes.
but it's a good episode,
Yeah.
And the start of it, they get straight into it, Jace, There's nothing like seeing Skeletor wanting to put some incense, burning some incense. And he looks great here burning his incense, with the Cro-Mags, that's their name, isn't it?
Yes, the Cro-Mags. They are the Torgs.
I get the feeling they headbutt a lot of things because they got those pointy helmets. So I feel like that's how they attack their villains. They just go head first into the wall, perhaps. Their adversaries as such.
Well, they got to have some kind of local things going on there, because they ain't got a lot going on in these caves.
No, but Skeletor is actually, truth be told, trying to raise a monster.
Yes.
Which is, I can't remember what the name of the monster in this
Mulcrum. His name is Mulcrum, and it is a great design.
It is a great design, as we get to see later on. But his attempt is Skeletor wants to break him open. So again, he can then, take over Eternia, but most importantly, try to get into Grayskull, which is his ultimate game. He's like that poor loser at 2:00 in the morning trying to get in the nightclub. Half his shirt's hanging out. He's drank way too much. The bouncers keep going, nah, mate, you're not coming in.
Don't you know who I am?
Exactly. Meanwhile, we do a hard cut straight to the land of Stratos.
Absolutely. We get to see Avion for the first time in the Filmation series, and I have to say, I love the design of this city. Look at it.
It is beautiful. And I must say that I would maybe take Stratos' sister out for a coffee, if it's possible.
She was supposed to be his wife, but Filmation changed it at the last minute. I think all they did was redub a couple of lines in this episode because they thought that little boys would not like the idea of Stratos having a wife.
No, maybe not. But I'm glad you say that, because if this little so-and-so right here was his kid, I'd be annoyed.
Oh, me too.
We'll talk about him later, but I was ready to slap that kid across the head.
I guess that would be the Wesley Crusher of Avion.
Yeah, man. No, not cool. But we do a hard cut to a celebration at there. There seems to be celebrating, I can't remember what, but they're ready to party down. But it is quickly interrupted, Jace, with an attack
TIE fighters.
From TIE fighters. Yes. From 60s version of TIE fighters.
I love the fact, though, that Stratos has this all-powerful staff that can blow up half the planet, and he uses it to make fireworks.
He does. They're pretty good fireworks, though.
Yeah.
We'll give him credit for that.
No, they're amazing fireworks. Yes, it's just...
The staff can do many things. I think it's like, we need to get ourselves out of this scene. The staff will do something to get us out of this scene.
I don't know. Stratos reminds me of Thor, just extremely powerful and extremely irresponsible. I'm going to make fireworks with the world-killing stuff, and everybody just cheers. Yay, Stratos!
Look, I'll be honest. You got to question anyone who's willing to shave their mustache regularly, but not the rest of the beard.
Well, you got to have that handlebar thing.
Yeah, but times are tough. He couldn't afford a mustache. What can you do?
I actually used to know somebody who did that, and I asked him, why do you shave it like that? He said, because it tickles.
Oh, really?
And I'm just like, well, that's
a good point.
I respect that answer, but
there you go. You look fucking weird.
Sure. Yeah, you look very weird. You look like a chin strap.
I'll have to beat that bit. Okay, did you have this vehicle by any chance? Sorry, let's back up, Chase. Don't get so excited. Was this vehicle ever manufactured? And if it was, did you own it?
I don't recall that ever being manufactured. I would be surprised if it wasn't in some form or another,
Because
because it is just basically a big Nerf gun on wheels. But
it's toyetic all the way, right?
it really is, but I don't know if that was ever manufactured, or if it was manufactured under a different name.
We do get my favourite. I will get onto that, but we do get to see the first vehicle I ever owned as He-Man is in this episode, which is great. But I can't go past this episode without dealing with one bit that just for some weird reason made me laugh out loud. And it's He-Man when he is in a battle, he's got messy hair, and he takes the time to flick back.
Well, with hair like that, you don't just leave it mussed. Also, the fact that He-Man said, "Just mussed my hair."
Yeah.
You know, he conditions it daily. And he does not blow dry, he towel dries. Because you don't blow dry hair.
I also think it provides extra motivation to the battle, his adversaries this week, because you don't mess with his hair, man. Like, he ain't going to let that go.
It's like Andrew Tate's hair plugs. He thinks they look good, and everybody else is just like, oh, God, no. He-Man, bowl cut, no. Do you like my hair, Tila? It looks fine.
Hey, look, Slevin in prison did a great job on his Andrew Tate's hair as much as he could.
You know, when you're a groomer, but you can't groom yourself.
Unbelievable. Hey, these little guys, kind of like them.
Okay, tell me that does not look like King Zog from Disenchantment.
It does a little bit. I just appreciate in the middle of battle he's got time to sing karaoke. That's what I'm impressed about. But yeah, yes, we brought up Stratos' sister. Sorry, what was her name again?
Her name was, I wrote it down, Delora.
And you think as much as I'm hard crushing on young Delora here, I would know her name. But she actually, I like. She wasn't a bimbo in any way. She was quite measured, quite intelligent. I think she's actually smarter than Stratos in some ways. I think.
No argument there. That is something that I've always liked about Masters of the Universe and She-Ra, more so that I'm an adult than I was a kid, is that the women on the show were warriors as well, and I loved that. You know, Tila jumps on a gun and just starts blasting away at people, and then later in this episode, she faces off against one of the Torgs, and they don't even show the fight. It's just, oh, she's got this. Comes back and like the dude's like all busted up on the floor, and she's like, I think I broke a nail. I just love that. I love the fact that the women in the show were just awesome. Even in this episode, the sorceress is usually kind of moronic and useless. No, she's right in there with this too, and that's what I think is one of the main draws of this episode, is that a lot of characters have a lot to do, and they do it very well.
There's a lot of storyline packed in this.
There is, and it all works.
Yeah. So absolutely. Now moving on to they get Stratos at some point.
The last temptation of Stratos.
And we've seen the staff there. Skeletor's got the staff, and of course being very cocky because he knows now with Stratos kind of out of the way, he's going to have a fairly free reign for his mission. So, even at this point, even at that point in the episode, I'm feeling there's a lot going on here. You know what I mean? We've got Skeletor looking to get the staff. We've got the little people. We've got, Stratos being captured. We've got He-Man trying to, and the team ready to come and help. There's a lot going on. So it's wonderful. Still, again, I was shocked. Sorry, I just love that freeze frame.
there is a lot going on in this episode. I enjoy the humor in it though, because this episode does have this. I don't know. It's almost like I got Carol Burnett on the brain today because today's her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Carol!
Happy 90th birthday, Carol Burnett. But this episode had some great humor in it. There's this one scene where after Skeletor frees Mulcrum, and Skeletor jumps on the back of this all-powerful creature and rides it out of the cave like a horse, blasts a hole in the wall and leaves. leaves the Torgs in there, and one of them says, "Oh, I wrote it down because I just thought it was funny. You do this, you do that, and after that, you can patch the hole in this wall."
Yes, I remember that moment.
That's funny. I don't care who you are. Just the fact that they decided to add that.
Also, and you know what? Also, it was only in the... Yeah, sorry. Go on.
The staff has Skeletor's face on it, too.
Yes.
Like, Stratos never questioned it. It's like, that kind of looks like our greatest enemy of all time. Oh, well, let's use it to make fireworks.
I didn't realise the size difference because I didn't catch the first bit when I watched it. I must have blinked when they showed the scale. So when I saw that moment come up, I'm like, oh, hell, he's like 3 foot taller than them. It's big. But they eventually, obviously, He-Man and the team are going in to kind of stop this evil plan. And they come up against the monster straight away.
Yes.
But it's really not the monster that we're after. It's this guy here who, they're in the attack. What's it again?
The attack track.
Attack track.
Yes.
Attack track. Which the monster, like, he is, he's, like, clearly massive where you could just pick it up like it's a toy. I mean, even He-Man shocked. Sorry, I'm just going to keep going with that all episode long.
I love the kaiju nature of so many of these monsters in this episode.
It is kaiju. Yeah. And the fact that basically He-Man just grabs him by his tail in classic He-Man and tosses him aside. I'm like, yeah, I mean, look how odd that is, Jace. You've got this he's got legs, he's got arms, he's got an elephant trunk and a unicorn horn. So bizarre, but it works brilliantly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. There are a lot of fun monsters in this episode.
None more fun, though, than you spoke about it early on, and that is the design of this girl.
Mulcrum looks great.
You know,
and the animation is great, too.
Yeah, and when I first saw him with this, those arms, those tentacles, they're not arms, I was like, but no, they work really well. They make him actually a very dangerous foe in this episode.
Whenever he's got his mouth open and he's roaring, they use that stock sound effect, but the animation just looks spectacular. It's some of the best that Filmation ever did for their regular TV show.
It's not often that you actually come across one of these episodes and you think, that's a genuine threat. But that monster comes off of this episode as a genuine threat that you don't...
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's pretty full on. But again, that's going back. It's another frame of him. I envy the artist that gets to draw those weird cells. Because that must be the most fun to do. I've got to make him look shocked. I've got to make him look injured. It's really great. The team are here, but they're not really, even though you've got Ram Man in this episode and Man Arms, they're not really doing a lot. In fact, you mentioned earlier about when you see He-Man push the wall open, I would have said, hey, Ram Man, you've done bugger all this whole adventure. Get to work, buddy. Smash a hole through there.
Well, you know, out of all the characters, I think Ant-Man actually does do shockingly little. I think he just gets captured or he gets pinned down behind things. Obvious observation. You're right, Ram-Man. Thank you for that obvious observation.
He's definitely not the brightest spark, that one.
No.
This is the first He-Man vehicle that I ever owned, so of course I was thrilled to have this in the episode. I don't remember big giant metal rope coming out of mine, but did you own that vehicle? You must have owned that, didn't you?
I actually did not own that vehicle, and I can't remember what the entire vehicle was called, but I did have a sky sled, and that was the front part of the vehicle.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was the whole thing.
And I have a sky sled again. I have the Origin sky sled, so that's nice to have.
Yeah, it was actually, again, at the time, and we know Castle Grayskull's been voted on many lists as the greatest playset ever created.
And it is.
And their vehicles really, in early days, were pretty close to the mark of being fantastic vehicles to play with because generally they had a multi-purpose to them. So it was wonderful to see that back in the episode. The moment. Again, another great frame. You can tell I have so much fun just finding the great frame.
Again, though, look at that. Look at that, though. Look at the lines and the mouth and the teeth and the eyes. And it just, whoever animated this just went above and beyond, because this is Filmation.
Do you know what? Is it? And I don't know if I'm really just a revisionist kind of memory here, but I'm pretty sure there are times in this episode you can tell what the newer animation was compared to the reuse that they were using.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a step up slightly, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying, which was very shocking. Somebody was trying.
Yeah. Now,
but,
the whole
kudos
staff,
to you, whoever you are.
The whole staff being the whole concept of why Skeletor had to get this monster, get the staff, to have this monster to help him so he could break into Castle Grayskull, which I loved because I loved the moment of him, that whole moment of him trying to open the door with the staff, and you've got her in the background trying to stop it. There was a great little tug of war moment there. So
also, we have to stop for a moment and just appreciate what a marvelous pun the word jawbridge is.
It is great.
I love that so much.
And
they never back off of it.
Puns.
Yeah, they never backed off of it. They knew how silly it was, and every single episode it was jawbridge, jawbridge, jawbridge. Also, the sorceress leaves the castle, turns into Zoar, and gets friggin' wrecked at one point. That's what I'm saying. The sorceress was very proactive in this episode, and I wish that she had been more proactive like this, because she struck me as a hero this time. Most of the time, she's very manipulative. She's very secretive. This time, she was just like, nah, I'm going to go kick some butt.
Yeah, which she got her butt kicked, as we know.
But if she had not contributed, they would have lost.
Yeah. I don't mind how they get rid of the staff. And classic kind of when you have an all-powerful weapon, what do? You grab that sucker and you throw it into the sky so it blows up.
Absolutely. And I love how it blew up, but it didn't blow up. It just blew up and then came right back down again. Oh, ping! Good. My fireworks stick is back.
Yeah, exactly. And, Skeletor, he sees that happen, but he still hangs around. Hangs around long enough because this is what he really wanted. He wanted a hug. And that's fair enough, I think. And I do like it because he gets caught, right? They capture him on the bridge. And he's like, and not this time, He-Man. And just evaporates.
I appreciate how he just took that loss in stride. Like, he was never really expecting to win. It was just, well, knew this was happening. Well, see you next time, He-Man.
It's very much an Aussie version of, can't do much about this, let's go to the pub.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. But it was we've probably missed chunks of story, but it is probably, as we said earlier, one of the most plot-heavy, story-driven episodes that works. So it's absolutely a recommendation here. And, of course, everyone gets to start back. He-Man takes all the credit because that's what He-Man does. No, they're the rest of them. They're all enjoying it. Except one dark moment in the end of this episode. Orko, right? Orko's doing his thing. He's not a bad guy. He's always there to help. He's a nice guy. We love Orko here. But this young punk thinks it's funny to send a drone and chase him around and try to shoot him with little laser bolt things.
What is with that kid, too? His proportions are all off. He looks like, I don't know. There's just something
slightly
about
malnutrition.
Him. Yeah, he's malnutritioned. He's only like 2 feet tall. Tila could punt him, and nobody would even blink.
And clearly, he's got behavioral issues as well.
Absolutely.
Not cool.
I wrote in my notes. I said, "Good episode, lots of action. Everyone acts intelligently. There's good animation. Almost every character contribute to the plot. There was an actual threat, and the story, despite the fact that it was split into two, sometimes even three concurring elements, all balanced themselves out very well. This is, so far, I would say this is in my top 3 episodes.
Because you're right. It's the idea of having characters on different directions, seemingly moving further and further apart, but somehow coming together at the end of the story. That takes skilled writing, and clearly they did that here. So
Yes.
I'm glad to see we're on agreement with this one. This is a great episode, guys. Go check out Reign of Monster. We're going to come back in a second with the next episode, Trust. But before we do that, Jace, let's just throw to a quick commercial break.
New from the Masters of the Universe collection.
Finally! Castle Grayskull is ours! No! Stop! Take that! We call upon Castle Grayskull Man! Oh, What do you want? Looks like someone had an accident! Burn, you son of a...
Castle Grayskull Man, Hordak, and Decapitated Stratos, each sold separately. New from Mattel.
So good. If only the toy ads with that.
It's awesome.
Not that I appreciate poor Stratos being decapitated, but
yeah, that is of course not a real commercial. That's from Daniel Benedict, who has his own YouTube channel with lots of Masters of the Universe content. So please go check it out, because he's got some great stuff. He also recreates classic Masters of the Universe commercials with the Origins figures. So he basically makes the commercials that Mattel is not making today.
Well, there you go. Fantastic. All right, let's kick into the next episode, Jace. This is the 2002 He-Man's reboot series, and today we're looking at Trust. Now, as much as Trust is a Stratos heavy episode, it's very much a Trapjaw episode as well.
Yes, which I'm always... Trapjaw's one of my favorites. I like Trapjaw.
And this is again, I'm going to say this episode from 2002, very much enjoyed it.
Yes,
there was nothing new that I hadn't seen before, but what they were tackling, that concept was done really well. And the episode kicks in straight away because we start off the episode with a prison break, which is always exciting to see.
Yes, because no one in Eternos has ever heard of a dungeon.
No.
Oh, no. They have busted another prisoner out of this 50-story tall tower, poking up right out of the middle of the city. How could we ever keep them from escaping? Put them underground. There you go. Just saved you an entire episode. Put Merman underground. Or better yet, blow his head off. There you go. Well,
they address it pretty quickly in this episode because Man-at-Arms go, we're not fortified strongly enough. We don't have materials. Yeah, good one. Maybe get away from the lab and stop experimenting on your fellow citizens for a minute, and realize that yes, your prison is very similar to She-Ra, Princess of Power prison. It's really pretty easy to get in and out of, really.
Why would Merman want to escape? He has the nice pillows and everything.
Straight away though, they concoct a plan to go get a certain element. Correct?
Yes, they do. And I have to say, as much as I enjoyed the Filmation episode this week, Stratos, despite the fact that he's a cool guy, it was a cool action figure, Filmation did not give him much of a personality. However...
No, they didn't.
And I know I've said this before, I love the fact that they leaned into making Stratos Sean Connery in the reboot. Because to me, it just makes him... It makes him more interesting. It makes him feel like he's actually part of a world that we don't see a whole lot of.
You know what I also like about the voice, though? Because what it kind of intimates to Stratos and his people, it gives me obviously Scottish voice. You start to think clans. You start to think, his voice actually brings a bit more diversity and interesting elements to his people as well. I think.
Plus, he sounds so cool.
He does. You know what I mean?
He-Man, I will go out into the city and go find this stuff for ya. Tila, give Stratos a kiss before I leave, would ya? Don't worry about her. She's just my sister.
I love to think, the rumor is Sean Connery quit filmmaking after making League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I like to believe he was at home one day and watching cartoons and going, that's it. I've seen him. I'm out. They're stealing my voice for Stratos. I'm out of the industry.
Bloody hell, is that Big Bird? Why does he sound like... Who's that arsehole that sounds like me?
Can I just acknowledge in this universe that Skeletor has the best cameras around? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
he is better than the London CDB when it comes to surveillance, because immediately he's able to see what's going on.
Again, Eternos needs to put all of its stuff underground so that those stupid robots can't get in and spy on them.
It seems most the easiest thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even our co-lead in this episode seems to be slightly annoyed about it. But he draws a short straw here. And I love the fact that Beastman and that they get a kick out of the fact that he's pulled the short straw and has to go.
They are the mean girls, and Skeletor is Regina George. That is it. The masters, the evil masters are the mean girls.
They are the mean girls. They are the mean girls. So we've set up our plot here, Jason. We have a good guy and a bad guy headed to the same destination to obtain the same thing, correct?
Absolutely.
So it's a race against time in a way.
Absolutely. And we are setting up one of the most formulaic plots in the history of formulaic plots.
Mm-hmm.
Where
but it's all about execution, isn't it?
It
really,
is.
these days?
It is, because I've seen so many episodes. The closest thing that I would compare this to is an episode of Star Wars Rebels, where Zeb and Callus crash on a planet together, and they have to. They end up bonding, and I actually think that's a stronger episode than Trust, but Trust came first, so I guess this one kind of, I don't know, did some things that episode didn't, but that episode did some things this one didn't. But on the other hand,
they're not main characters, though. That's why this works. They're the henchmen that are put into this plot, where normally you would instinctively go for one of the main characters.
Yeah, if anything, I kind of wish that this episode would have led to a little bit more character development for Trapjaw and Stratos. I wish that they would have walked away learning something a little bit more than the moral of the lesson at the end. Maybe gotten a little bit of respect for each other. But on the other hand, I also respect the way that the episode was true to Trapjaw as well, that Trapjaw screws Stratos the first chance he gets.
Multiple times in
Yes.
this episode, which I like too. But yeah, before we get there, obviously Stratos is flying to the environment, quickly blasted out of the sky by Trapjaw, which I thought was kind of cool. And which I thought was kind of good, And here we go. We've got a battle going here. They fall through a giant hole, basically, and land at this bottom of this giant cavern as such.
Yes, and this is a time that I actually thought Trapjaw was frightening. Because whenever he busts his leg and they're both laying on the ground, Stratos wakes up and Trapjaw's crawling towards him. He's not trying to get away. He's coming in. He's gonna kill him.
Yeah, he's
and
the
I
T-800.
I loved that. I was just like, wow, I've never thought of Trapjaw being scary, but he's actually kind of scary here.
Even injured, he tries to blast him, doesn't he? And they have to struggle with the fact that Stratos has to rip that apparatus from his arm.
That's right.
And I love that, and points it back at him, going like, I've got your gun now. You know what I mean? So I do like that power struggle between them. And they quickly come to a realization that the only way out of this situation is to help each other, because one's got a damaged wing and the other one's got a damaged leg. So, having to pair up in this scenario makes perfect sense,
Yes, it does.
Meanwhile, the gang's sitting back and watching it on TV.
Oh my gosh. I wanted to slap Adam here. I wanted to slap him so hard. Look, I think I just saw He-Man walk by. I'm going to walk that way and disappear for the rest of the episode.
That's why I chose this image.
I just wanted to see Tila look at Man-at-Arms and goes, Adam's He-Man, isn't he? No. Okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think at this point, Adam thinks nobody knows, but everybody knows kind of
Everybody knows, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that everybody knows, but he's the prince, so nobody wants to say anything.
Yes, that's right. They're too afraid to be getting put in a dungeon that you can easily escape from.
Everyone knows except for the king. So he's our son, you moron. What?
I don't know what they put in the king and queen's food on Randor, but they're clearly out of touch.
Stupid pills.
I think the chef is stuffing edibles in there because they are not oblivious. They are not switched on.
Skeletor is slipping the chef like $100 every week on put some more of this in their food. Keep them stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? The conflict of these two characters throughout this episode, the fact that they're having to rely on each other to get through, is to me different enough in a He-Man show to keep me interested.
Yes.
Even though we said it's the most formulaic plot ever, it's not formulaic, I think, for this show. I think it kind of works.
It does work in this episode, yes.
And sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I
I was going to go off on a tangent, but go ahead.
No, it's just the fact that you've got these two guys relying on it that draws the main characters to the conflict as well. I kind of like.
Yes, and that alliance basically ends right when it needs to.
It does.
Curse your inevitable betrayal, Trapjaw.
You're right,
beastie.
I'm just glad that it was Stratos and not his sister, because we all know what the Scottish people can be like with women sometimes. Oh, that's a shot across the bow, poor Sean Connery. Misogynist. Can I
give you a good open-handed slap to the face, Trapjaw. I'll knock that jaw right off your head.
Exactly. Now I've established the fact that the main guys are now coming to the party. We've got Skeletor heading his way. But I got to mention, Jace, I really like this outfit.
Oh, it's great.
He-Man's winter outfit is tight. I love it,
great.
Jace.
I love the fur. The only thing I don't like about it is that one shoulder pad that is comically huge and asymmetrical as everything was in that decade. That is the one thing about it that I don't like.
Yeah, it's a pretty big shoulder. Yeah.
You
but
got
it does
one.
Remind you of...
You got one arm that's warm and the other one that's freezing. Still shirtless, but at least you look cool.
Is this a tease to what we're eventually going to get when we go to the Snake Men?
Pretty much, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that ridiculous asymmetrical costume. Yeah. It's bad.
Meanwhile, back at the cave, they're hearing noises, Jace. They're hearing some noises, and these threatening beasts are looming upon them. And it's a great little moment when you see these things just in unison, these white kind of beasts just in unison coming out from them. I thought, oh, here we go. How do they get out of this one? And they do by Trapdoor doing another one of his betrayals by, bringing them up on the rope. And just as they get up to the top, kicks Stratos down to the ground.
Curse your sudden and inevitable betrayal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty bad move, dude, because from that moment, you think they're going to rip him to shreds, these beasts. However, it is He-Man, and we're not about to see one of our main characters being torn apart.
No, this isn't that fake commercial. He's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay, but they are actually very smart creatures who are part of a community that live there to protect.
And a great design also. They look really cool.
And I like the voice actor. I like the guy who did it. He brought a lot of brevity to it. He brought a lot of,
gravitas.
Gravitas is the word I was looking for. And yes, I really like the creatures. I really like, but I also really like what it brings up next is this great kind of thing where Stratos has gone, look guys, here's the deal. I'm here to help. I'm the good guy. With Trapjaw coming in and going, hey, nope. He's lying to you. I'm the good guy. So you put those creatures in a very who do we trust?
Who do we trust? Do we trust the attractive bird man? Or do we trust the scary man with all the weapons strapped to his body?
Who do we trust? It's a hard one. Meanwhile, outside, He-Man's trying to come and save the day, but he's under attack, Jace. They're attacking him with big birds.
Yes.
Triclops, apologies. I watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods the other day. Please forgive me. Triclops is very menacing in this series. I always found every time he's on screen or he's a character in this version of He-Man, he seems very powerful and very threatening.
Yes, and he's also a little psycho, which I like. He kind of reminds me of Hugo Strange from Batman. Just extremely intelligent, extremely cunning, maybe not physically strong, but he will mess you up though.
And he enjoys it. Like
yes, he does. He enjoys it.
Yeah, which is really great. This is where they're trying to convince each other that, no, sorry, apologize. This is my favourite moment of the episode. So basically they do, well, we're just going to put you both in prison. We're going to put you and you in a prison and we'll sort out what we're going to do with you later. I'm thinking unobtainium, whatever the mineral.
Eternium. It was Eternium. Oh my gosh.
Of course.
Everything is Eterna something.
Yes, Eternium. And they go into this prison and there's a giant stash just sitting there. And that moment that I just brought up is the moment where Trapjaw goes, well, here's what I'm after. I'm just going to go and grab all the Eternium right now. Alas, but it's a trap. It's a test.
Smile, you're on candid camera.
With all the beasts there watching this whole thing go down. And I love that. Because
it's great.
That shows an intelligent species right there. They could have gone back and forward. They could have had a court case. They could have had a trial. They could have abandoned both of them. But the smartest, most logical thing to do, put them in a room with what there's, and we'll quickly find out who's the good guy and who's the bad guy here. And I think that was a great little scene, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I do love the fact that the Kulatax basically tricked Trapjaw with X-Lax, with an X-Lax chocolate bar. I mean, you know that Trapjaw was on the toilet all night after this episode.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, that's going to be the worst case of IBS, I think.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to have. And what do they call it? It's like it rusts thing from the inside, right?
Yes.
It's not pretty.
We know what that's code for. It's okay. That's
Snake Mountain ain't gonna smell good tonight.
Yeah, it's a photon torpedo right out the chute. Watch out! The dam has been breached with dynamite.
Meanwhile, we have to shove in Skeletor into this episode because apparently we needed Skeletor in this episode.
Of course.
So Evil Lynn there looking. I've got to say, I love Evil Lynn's design in this.
She looks great.
In fact, I've got to say, overall, this series, as much as it has a lot of weakness, the character designs are really good.
Every single one of them got a glow up in this series. I mean, there were a few where I looked at them thinking, because I think Mechanic is one where I saw it and I was just, that's not great. But everyone else looks awesome.
Yeah, they've kept the core elements of the character designs, but just enhanced it for that 2002 modern vibe.
Absolutely. Only thing, He-Man's amazing hair is just not there.
No, it's not. And one other criticism is Battle Cat.
Battlecat's design was terrible.
Terrible.
And I'm sorry, I do not accept Battle Cat that does not talk.
No, that'll be coming in the future. I get to see him. Remember, I've only ever seen 2 episodes of that modern series when we did the first episodes of each series. So that was the thing that attracted me the most, was the fact that we had this wide, like, Battlecat becomes Yoda. This is awesome,
Yes.
Or Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever comparison you want to make. So I'm looking forward to digging into that for sure. But back to this episode, can I just reiterate again? Like, He-Man looks so good in that outfit. I would buy that He-Man figure if it was out.
It reminds me a lot of the Masterverse King Grayskull figure with that gigantic cape. And I just thought, combine that with He-Man's outfit, that'd be an amazing live action look.
Yeah. not much of a battle happens between He-Man and Skeletor. It's a very quick kind of few seconds, and it's Dunsky in this episode.
I love Beastman's look on his face.
Yeah, look at his look. He's confused. Even Triclops is like,
I think he's just smelling Trapjaw at this point. Like, what is that?
What is that? And I just love that Evil Lynn is just already annoyed at the situation.
I know.
She's already like, damn it, can you do anything right? Clearly not. So it's pretty great. But everyone becomes friends. They capture Trapjaw in a sheet of ice, which is work with what you got. And they become friends and they build new allies, which seems to be a common theme in He-Man. Don't you notice that every time they come against a community, at the end of the day, they're allies and they're willing to fight the cause, and you never see them again. So the next time they're in trouble, none of those communities that they've connected with ever come to help.
That was one thing. Thundercats got a reboot not long after this one, and that was one thing that they did in that series that I thought was great. Was whenever they forged alliances, they always paid it off.
Oh, okay.
There was one episode where they were fighting Mum-Ra, and every single civilization that they formed an alliance with comes to their aid.
Oh,
and it was such a great episode. So maybe they were building for something like that in this series. I don't know. And then that Snake Man BS got in the way. And then cancellation got in the way. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if it'd gone for a couple other seasons, you would have thought that they may have gone down that way. But Snake Man was such a disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You really have a problem with that shoulder pad with the giant icicles, Chase. Look how ridiculous it looks.
It's ridiculous. Look at that.
If you just break off the ice, I could deal with the actual shoulder pad.
See, I even think without the ice, it would just look redonkulous, just dumb. How is he not walking lopsided? I just want to know.
He's He-Man, man.
I guess. But he'd be asymmetrical after a while. Just he'd have one muscle on one side so much bigger than the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to put the shoulder pad on the other shoulder for a while.
And that's basically the end of the episode. As much they've forged alliances with these beasts. They and now have access to the Eternium they need to fortify their jails. So this episode is about a quest for resources to make a better prison. That's the episode.
Well,
I liked it. I thought it was great. I don't think it was as strong as Reign of Monster.
I agree, yes.
But it was still kind of enjoyable, and it was good to see Stratos take a limelight in this. It always interests me to go, well, if this, and I trust your instincts, so if these are the strongest Stratos episodes, how poorly was he handled for the rest of these series? So,
well, he was just, like I said, he was just a glorified background player.
Yeah. Do we have a version in the CGI of Stratos?
There is.
I know it's completely rebooted. I know that. Redesigned everything.
You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it.
Right.
I can tell. I just have a feeling you're not going to like it.
We'll deal with that.
They take him in a completely different direction to where he's barely a good guy, to be honest. But again, he at least gets more character development in that show than he's gotten in any of the other shows.
Yeah. But let's face it, Jason, the best version of Stratos is that version of Stratos.
Absolutely.
Best version of He-Man is that version of He-Man.
It's the one that uses the C word and gets drunk. Yes, I think it's great.
Now, we've talked about both episodes, but we've got to talk about their morals at the end.
Yes.
Because without getting the moral lesson, what are we really getting out of these shows? So
Entertainment,
exactly. So let's have a look at the Reign of Monster.
A very interesting switcheroo this time around, which I will talk about.
Boy, the fruit on that tree looks good enough to eat, doesn't it? That's like a lot of things you might find around your house or in your neighborhood. But looks can fool you. Sometimes things that look or smell good can make you very sick. Remember, never taste or eat anything if you're not sure what it is. The best thing to do is to ask a grown-up who knows. Remember, it's better to be safe than sorry. Till next time.
There is no coincidence that the fruit on the tree looked like Tide Pods. And I also think that the Orko voice actor was making fun of the moral as he was reading it, because at one point he starts talking like, yes, you shouldn't eat this stuff.
This felt very much like a reflection on the news of the day. So I know you're kind of joking about the Tide thing, but I do remember the early 80s being a big push here in Australia and a campaign of, making sure you put all your chemicals up high away from your kids. And as kids, you're not supposed to try this, you're not supposed to try that. But what connection does that have to the actual episode?
Absolutely none. This is what This is what the fans used to call a "don't put mustard on the cat" moral. Just a moral that had nothing to do with the episode and is just common sense. Just don't put mustard on the cat.
Yeah, pretty much. So, not their strongest moral, because usually what I love about the morals of the Filmation series is they always seem to tie directly into the subject matter of the episode,
which is weird with this next one. It is weird. So usually it's flipped.
Yes, that's right. So let's have a look at the moral story from the end of Trust.
We all want to be trusted, but to earn the trust of others, it's important to be trustworthy. And that means keeping your word, being honest, and of course, speaking the truth. Until next time.
Okay. Very basic, but it fits with the story.
Again, first time
yes,
that I've actually seen a moral from the end of that series actually connect to the plot.
Yeah, and it's so weird that it's been flipped this time, just completely flipped. I don't. What is going on?
It's like we're in bizarro He-Man world.
Oh, so strange.
But it was good. It was good, and I remember seeing the end of that when I've watched it again the other day, and I'm like, damn, they got it right for a change. So, very good, very good. So that was wonderful. Now, Jason, to tie up the show, of course, we have a responsibility that we've got to keep adhering to here, because if we don't, sooner or later they're going to get upset. And what I'm talking about, if I've got the image here, which I don't have it, but it's casting call time.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Let's do it.
And we're doing Stratos this week because, hey, why not do the casting call on the actual character that we're supposed to be talking about? So, okay, we're going to cast Stratos here. Hundreds of $1 million. We can get any actor we want. Jason, I'm going to throw you under the bus for this one, and I'm going to ask you, who would you choose for the actor to play Stratos in our $300 million. Yes, the budget's going up and up and up for our retelling of He-Man. Here he is, here's Stratos. Who you casting, Jace?
Well, it's funny. Whenever you first told me, hey, we gotta do a Stratos casting call, mate, I
think I added a C word in there.
Yeah, probably. But I was in the middle of watching my second oldest girl get her senior pictures taken. So I was a little emotional. No. And I had to think, and I was like, I don't know, Tony Curran, who is a great actor, by the way.
He's a great actor. It was a great choice.
Yeah. And then I thought a little bit more, and I said, that's my placeholder unless I get a better idea. And then I got a better idea.
You probably got the best idea. Actually, I think Liam both of ours this week's are strong.
Liam Neeson is my Stratos.
I have a particular set of skills. I have wings, and I will find you, and I will kill you.
He would be fantastic. My only thing is, because this is an ageless film and we can go back in time and all that, Liam Neeson from 10 years ago.
Nah, Liam Neeson from now. And you know what? Don't even give him a script. Just have him stand there with wings and a harness just going,
I have no idea what's going on here. What is this? Is this some kind of G.I. Joe movie? I don't want my likeness put on an action figure.
You gave me the word earlier, gravitas, and that's what Liam Neeson would bring to this role.
Yes, he would
bring that maturity and complexity to the character. We know that the last thing you ever want is Liam Neeson. He's always like simmering. That's what I love about Liam Neeson. You don't know when he's just going to crack at any moment.
Exactly.
And I like that idea. I like that idea. So you chose yours. For mine, I had a couple of immediate ones straight away. Because you went, who did you mention? Sean, he goes, but Sean Connery's dead in our chat.
Yes,
And
but Sean Connery's dead. The perfect actor's gone.
I went straight for James McAvoy. It was my first initial choice, which I thought, okay, a bit of a younger. It's not a bad choice. He's got the accent. Bit maybe too slender, but I wanted him to be a bit older. So my choice.
Slender.
Was,
have you seen Split?
Yeah, he was jacked. He was jacked.
Yeah.
He was. Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Oh yeah, I could see
is
that.
my pick for Stratos. However, we better get the script doctors in because he ain't taking the role unless that script is tight.
Yes.
Right? He ain't making the commuter. He ain't doing, straight to streaming movies. Ewan's going to want, a good script. And
Although you got to admit, it would be a great moment if in the middle of a fight, Skeletor's running out, Stratos zooms down, lands in front of him and goes, "Hello there."
You'd have to, wouldn't you? You'd have to.
You'd have
you cast Ewan McGregor, you just got to go, look, dude, you got to play on that line. The crowd's going to go.
I see him
insane.
looking at the script going, "I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that either." Oh, I'm not saying hello there.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it. I love it. Well, that's it, Jace. We've done it. We've cast our characters between two of them. We'll have to let the audience decide one day who we cast, whether it's Liam Neeson or Ewan McGregor. But we've done it. That was a great couple of episodes. Probably for 2 episodes, even though I preferred Rain and Monster, both these episodes were very strong, I thought. And not always the case when we do these deep character dives. So I'm very happy with this.
I am as well. I think that it turned out very nicely.
Brilliant. Well, we hope you guys think the same thing too. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and find Jason at Jason Roy Gaston all over social media, everywhere. You'll find me on TikTok at VHS_Jace and on Facebook. Come and join our Facebook group. There's lots of fun stuff going on there. And hang on a minute. I was just about to leave without putting you on the spot, Jace. Who will we doing next time?
Oh goodness! I put absolutely no thought into this. So, since we did Masters of the Universe this week, how about we return to She-Ra and the Princess of Power next week, and let's take a look at Imp. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to look at Imp. Let's
tell you who my favorite is.
let's look at Glimmer.
I think Glimmer would be an excellent choice, Jason.
Why not?
Because there is very big evolutionary differences and changes between the characters. That sounds great. Well, you've heard it. We're going back into the awesome world of She-Ra. Next episode of Power of Jace, where we're going to check out Glimmer. So we'll see you guys then. All right, Jace, sign off for us, buddy.
You have been watching The Power of Jace.